Well, hello and good morning to everyone. Hope you got your coffee. I got my tea. I finished doing my walk this morning. I walk every morning an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. It depends. Today I walked an hour. Cheers. I got me a cup of tea. It's delicious. I love it very much. I wanted to talk to you. I don't know if you're aware of all the money that they've been sending to Ukraine and all the weapons that the West is supplying to Ukraine, and why that all this is happening and they're not helping Americans or veterans. They're sending all this money to Ukraine. They're giving them billions upon billions of dollars, hundreds of billions to the Ukraine. And, well, I'm going to tell you something. In Ukraine, there are minerals valued at over $12 trillion. That is with a T. This is why Putin, Russia, wants Ukraine so badly. I've heard a lot of people say, what are they fighting over that little bitty country for? Well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is $12 trillion worth of very valuable minerals that the entire West wants. United States, Britain, all the West wants these. Australia, we want these minerals. And this is why Russia has threatened nuclear war, and this is why Russia is off the coast in Cuba now, establishing submarine bases. They've got, they're putting in hypervelocity missiles as well as nuclear missiles into Cuba. Why? Because they are prepared and ready to go to war over $12 trillion. You know that's what wars have always been about. It's money, money, money. Now, in World War II, we were forced into it. We had no choice. Japan saw to that. And then 3 days after December 7th, 1941, 3 days later, Adolf Hitler, he declared war on the United States of America. So we were fighting a war on two fronts. In Europe and the Pacific, we were thrown right into it. We didn't want to go into it, but we were thrown into it, like it or no. So I'm just letting you know why that Ukraine is so important that the United States is ready to go to war with Russia. But there's someone that's hiding in the shadows. Who is this nation that is lurking in the shadows, that is an ally of Russia now? China. Xi Jinping wants those minerals for China. So he figures if he helps Russia, if the United States and NATO goes in to Ukraine, which they're preparing to do, because they want that $12 trillion. Well, then China is going to join forces with Russia, and we're going to be fighting a war on two fronts again. We're going to be fighting Russia. We're going to be fighting China. Both of these nations have hypervelocity missiles. They have tons of nuclear weapons, more than the United States does, because the woke people in power in Washington, they stripped us down just as low as they could on our nuclear weapons and had us destroy them and everything else. Because they figured, well, now Russia and everybody will be our friends and we can all go out there and we can go barefooted and we can hug trees. And then we can join hands and dance in the meadow. And we can sing, I'd like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. How stupid these people are. How foolish these people are. But you see, they're bribed off by China. They're bribed. They've been accepting bribes for over 80 years. From China, Russia, anybody that would bribe them, they take it. You know, we elect officials into office. All of us do. Okay, we go through the voting process and we vote them in. Well, the lobbyists come along and they go inside the doors and they're welcomed in and they whip out their checkbooks and they start writing cash and handing out checks. They start giving them to all the people that we, the citizens of the United States of America, voted to go into office to represent us. Well, they're not representing us. They got their hats out. They're taking money. They're getting checks and cash and trips and just all kinds of things. I mean to tell you, they got it made, man. They're singing that song, we're in the money, we're in the money. Lobbyists ought to be sent to prison. They ought to be stopped right here and right now. They're not lobbyists for the good of the voters. It's a lie. Follow the money. They are bribers. They are going in and bribing our officials. They've been doing it for over 80 years. It's time we stopped it. Look what the real estate lobbyists have done. Our governor in Texas invited the people from California and other areas to come to Texas. Well, the real estate lobbyists here in Texas, they ran to the legislature and they started passing out checks. And they said, well, what's this for? And they said, we want you to pass these laws and we want to increase the cost of land in Texas and the rent and the taxes to the equivalency of New York and California. And the legislatures, I don't know how the people are going to react to this. Nobody did anything. The legislature stepped forward. The real estate lobbyists are still paying bribes to our legislatures because they're wanting to keep the prices high. Well, do you know what the people of New York and the people of California are doing? The majority of them now, they're leaving Texas and they're going to other countries to live. Many of them are going to Panama. They're getting out of here. They said, why should we come to Texas? We can stay right here in New York, or we can stay in California for the same price that it's going to cost us in Texas. Why should we move to Texas? There's no difference anymore. So meanwhile, all the tax-paying people of Texas that own homes and own property, we're all price gouged. I'm renting in senior apartments. I'm renting, and my rent's going up and up and up and up and up. And you know what the manager says? Location, location. Location, location. No, they're price gouging the daylights out of every one of us. Every time we turn around, we get an increase on the rent. And the rent is already so outrageous, it's unreal. So here we are, people. I wanted you to know about Ukraine. I wanted you to know about Ukraine. There are $12 trillion at stake. This is why the West is running to Ukraine. And we're pouring hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. And we're sending them all kinds of weapons. And now we're fixing to go in there to help them fight. And Putin done said, if you come in and fight against Russian soldiers, we are declaring war on the United States of America. And China stood up and said, we are the ally of Russia. And if Russia needs our help, well, they will receive our help. They're chomping at the bits, people. China can't wait to shoot nuclear weapons in the United States of America. I live in Texas, less than 100 miles from San Antonio. And they were talking about the nuclear targets in the United States of America. There's so many of them, I can't remember them. Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, all of San Antonio. It's just unbelievable. Friend of mine, we're not going to survive a nuclear war, and you know that. You know, the Bible speaks of a great war that's coming that will wipe out 1/3 of the entire earth. Well, what would wipe out 1/3 of the entire earth's population and destroy it utterly? Nuclear weapons. So this is the reality that we're all living in. It's like we're walking around on a powder keg and there's mines everywhere. And if you step on that mine, it's going to go off. Friend of mine, you know, none of us are going to get out of this world alive. But all of us want to live in peace. You know, the Germans hated peaceful people. They hated them. So did the Japanese. The Germans called peaceful people, Christians and Jews, they called them farm faces. And they hated and despised farm faces. You know why? Because they didn't know peace. They were brainwashed from their youth. And they were taught that Hitler was their God. And they swore their allegiance to Hitler. Their entire lives were sworn to allegiance to a man, just like the Emperor of Japan that should have had his scrawny little body hung up by the neck. He should have been burned alive, is what he should have been. They made a fatal mistake in letting that punk go. Did you know that his relatives have even come out with his diary and his notes and everything, and the records showing that he was all in it on the bombing of Pearl Harbor and on all those things that he said he wasn't in on, that the military people of Japan did it. He was a liar and a coward. Did you know that white horse that he rode? That little punk on the white horse out there, going out there and saluting? That's supposed to mean that he was a god. Well, that white horse was from Texas. Do the research. He bought the white horse from Texas and had it shipped to Japan. Then he went riding out there like he'd come out of heaven. God help us all. God help us all. Look at the cruelty of Adolf Hitler. Look at the cruelty of that man. Because of one man. Look at all the millions of people that were killed. Look at the Japanese. All the millions of people. The war crimes that were never taken care of. Those cowards ran and committed suicide. They said they were doing it hickory. No, they're cowards. That's why they committed suicide. They're cowards. That's why Hitler killed himself. He was nothing but a little sniveling little coward, is all he was. He was just a coward. That's all he was, a coward. And this is what we're living in now. Now, boy, Russia's chomping at the bits, and China's chomping at the bits, and everybody wants to go to war. And let me tell you something. You know just well as I do, there's no winners in nuclear war. There's no winners. This war here is going to be bad, and I guess they think the United States is going to sit there and they can hit us so fast we won't have time to react. You know what nuclear missiles would do in China? In Russia? In the United States? Whoop! Wiped out, people. Wiped out. You remember that song? Wipe out? That's what it's going to be, friends. But you can't tell these people. Just like you couldn't tell Adolf Hitler that by him sending his troops out, you know, they were real good at murdering innocent people that were unarmed. Boy, look what they did to the people of Poland. Do you know that today, even today in 2024, the people of Poland hate the Germans? That's why the Germans stay away from Poland. So many Germans come up missing even today. Do you blame them? Their grandparents were brutally, savagely murdered and burned alive by incendiary bombs that the German Stukas rained down on innocent people that were in their homes, that were going about their daily business. They were unarmed, unsuspecting. Boy, they called it the Blitzkrieg. It wasn't blitzkrieg, it was murder. They murdered their peaceful neighbors, which they called farm faces. People, please hit the like button. I'm inviting you to subscribe to my channel. Hope you enjoy your coffee. I'm enjoying my tea. And I want you to have a wonderful day. And listen, I'll see you on the next video. But that's why all the fuss, what the fuss is all about, Ukraine. $12 trillion in minerals. That's the prize of these greedy eyes. You know, why they all can't come together and share. See, nobody believes in share. It's just like the apartments I'm living in, the managers, these real estate people. It's greed. Greedy eyes. They want it all for themselves. See you on the next video. You have a good day. Bye for now.